Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Between the Lines, where we give commentary and analysis on big stories of the day. Today, we're going to be covering Matt Gaetz and his official get out of jail free card from the DOJ. I'll tell you, I am heated about this. This is one of the stories that I have been following that really is a lynch or a keystone in what I believe the DOJ is doing, which is running a two-tier justice system. So we're going to look at that today, look at the evidence, look at the reactions, and lay that out for you so you have a clearer understanding than what the news media is portraying today. So first, let's cover what's been reported on the left and the right. We've gotten a pretty quiet and plain vanilla announcement type reporting from the left, basically saying that the DOJ has decided to not prosecute Getz for the crimes that he is accused of. The only explanations they give are very terse, basically saying that they decided that there was not enough evidence to charge the crime, and everybody kind of looks at each other and then moves on to the next story. It's a situation where in the past, when the story first came out, they were pretty aggressively talking about Getz being a child molester, a federal sex trafficking violator, and we'll go into the details of what he's accused of and the evidence against him as well. On the right, especially on Fox News, he is being put up as this pristine, untouched, and unsullied martyr who has been basically dragged through the mud by the left for no good reason. You listen to Laura Ingraham, and she's basically accusing the left of baselessly charging him with horrible sex crimes and accusing him of all kinds of, being a general pervert, at the same time as she's really dragging through the mud all of the people that made those accusations on the left. When you dig a little deeper, the people that actually uncovered the case, the people at the New York Times and the reporters that were around it, are in shock because they believe that the evidence against Matt Gaetz was bulletproof. There was no way that anybody could get away with not prosecuting this case. And what does that mean for the DOJ in terms of its reputation and its imperator to essentially be unbiased and charge the cases that they can charge? And this is the part that gets me heated. Basically, there is a mountain of evidence against Matt Gaetz. He has a partner, Joel Greenberg, who basically arranged all of these trysts with his 17-year-old prostitute that he paid for with Venmo. And we have the receipts for that. We have the texts and the tweets that are associated with it. Joel Greenberg turned state's evidence, basically gave all of this information implying or implicating Matt Gaetz as being completely involved in this ring. And they essentially paid for multiple girls to go on parties with them. So they were doing ecstasy. They were basically taking them to trips in different places in the Caribbean. They were paying for their tuition. A lot of them were college girls. And they basically had a great time, but they paid for the attention, let's say. And we have the receipts to prove it. Not only do we have the receipts, we have Joel Greenberg's confession, and we also have the confessions of the girls that were involved, Matt Getz's girlfriend as well. And we also have the essentially confession of Matt Getz himself. He just says that what he did wasn't wrong and that she wasn't under 18. which, you know, I'm sorry, her birth certificate says differently. And the rules on that are very clear. If you do that and you cross state lines and you're sex trafficking with a minor, it's a federal crime. You go to prison. Do not pass go. Do not collect 200. Go directly to jail. That's it. And Matt Gaetz is on the prima facie evidence, 100% provably guilty. So what does this mean? I mean, why did the DOJ choose not to charge? The rumor is, or the background information is that the DOJ didn't feel that the witnesses were credible. Now, when they say credible, they mean like, well, if we put them in front of a stand, on the stand in front of the jury, is the jury going to believe that they're telling the truth and not lying? Well, they were telling the truth enough to convict Joel Greenberg for 11 years for the same crime. They believed Joel Greenberg enough that they gave him a sweetheart deal to essentially confess and give up the information on Matt Gaetz for a reduced sentence. They believed the girlfriend when she gave her confession, and the actual girl that was involved in the sex parties, that was 17 at the time, that was trafficked across state lines, also confessed. And though they may have recanted or they may have said things now that indicate that they don't believe that they were a victim, that was what the 17-year-old said. She didn't believe that she was a victim. Admittedly, you can be 17 and think that what you're doing is your own volition, and nobody is forcing you to take money in order to have sex with a congressman. They might think of that as just something that, I don't know, they want to do, um, but it's illegal. And it's illegal for a congressman as much as it's illegal for anybody on the street. And for the DOJ to then take all of that evidence, the tweets, the Venmo receipts, the confessions, the airplane tickets, I mean, it's all there. It's there in public. And then to turn around and say that they do not believe that they could convict Matt Getz based on the evidence that they have, it's not ridiculous, it's repulsive. It's honestly so insulting to the intelligence of the average person that it really makes you feel like you don't have a justice system. You don't have anybody that's looking out for you in the government. You don't have anybody that's upholding the law. And this is evidence that proves beyond a reasonable doubt in my mind that there is a two-tier justice system in this country. We basically have not, I mean, go back 20 years and think about it. Have we ever seen the DOJ convict a political leader, put them in jail, and they're still there? I don't know of one. Rob Blagojevich was the one guy that sold his Senate seat. They convicted him, they put him in jail, Trump let him out. There is no accountability in our own government for any kinds of crimes that they do, and the DOJ operates behind a veil of secrecy where they do not have to be accountable to anybody. They do not have to explain their actions. They don't even have to say they're investigating, and they can basically do whatever they want. What they do is they drag it out. They basically delay, diffuse, and dissipate. They take their time. They take years. How many years has it been since Trump was accused of colluding with the Russians? How many years has it been since Mueller laid out 10 instances of obstruction of justice in detail in a report that was chargeable the day that Trump got out of jail, got out of the office, and they did nothing. And it goes on, and it's just encouraged Trump to do more and more and worse and worse. And every time the DOJ does nothing, they enhance and put forward the conspiracy of or the insurrection that is currently playing out in our country. We are becoming a far right fascist dictatorship, step by step, piece by piece. They're eating the elephant one piece at a time. And I'll tell you what, the DOJ is culpable. Garland and the people that are not doing their job in prosecuting and interdicting these insurrectionists are essentially handing the keys of our country over to fascist dictators. And I don't say that lightly. I mean, that is something that really has me perplexed, bemused, and befuddled because I do not understand how they can call themselves a Justice Department and stand up and say that they represent the law and do this. And frankly, that's what's got me heated. So, from a balanced perspective, in fairness, is it true that Matt Gaetz might be hard to prosecute because he's a congressman? Yes. Basically, his father is a billionaire. I have a feeling Matt is a congressman because daddy didn't want him hanging out in the beer halls and hooker joints of Florida without a job. Um, that doesn't make it okay though. And here's the thing is that if Matt Gaetz can get away with it, so can every other congressman, and so can every other senator, and so can every other state legislator. And the corruption just grows. And I've been in third world countries, folks. I've seen what it's like. There is no end to how low you can go in rotting the government out. You can end up paying hundreds of dollars just to have your child seen by the DMV to get a license. And that's where we're headed. So, in all fairness, the DOJ might have had a hard time prosecuting this. They had a duty and they had an obligation to bring the charges anyway, and they balked. And they balked because they are owned by the political wing of the government. They're owned by the elites, and they have become essentially the protection arm of the tweedist plutocracy. They are there to protect the elite from criminal culpability for their actions. And that's an assertion. That's me and my opinion. Um, but I'm saying it because I think it's really obvious in this situation. It's one of those situations where you kind of look at it and there is no other choice. There is no other way to explain what's happening here. The DOJ is corrupt, and I don't know what to do about that. I'm not a revolutionary. I'm not someone who's going to take up arms. I'm making these stupid ass YouTube videos because I'm frustrated and I don't have any other outlet for it. So, if you like what you see here, we're going to be doing this kind of analysis going forward. We're going to try and make sense out of the stories and read between the lines to see what the media is not saying. Because here's the other part about it, the other part that is complicit in all of this. The left wing of the media, MSNBC, CNN, Salon, all of the people that were actually, breaking the story about Gaetz, they were up in arms in the accusations. They were basically calling Matt Gaetz a child molester. They were calling him a criminal. They were, basically using it for all of the attention that it was worth. On the right, Fox News said nothing. I mean, nothing. They didn't even mention it. The minute Getz got acquitted, the left wing media basically went silent. They looked at each other and squinted when they said, "Okay, well, the DOJ has now, decided not to prosecute Matt Getz for the crimes, and the best we can understand is that um, it's because they don't think they can convict him, and that's it. There's no reaction. There's no pushback. There's no questioning. It's the DOJ said so, so that's the way it is." And then on the right, you have this failure to prosecute as being the proof of the left's corruption of the system and their baseless accusations, and they're pushing good people through the mud and basically using it as a way to wedge their innocence against the lack of prosecution of the DOJ. And you listen to them, and they're basically, oh, vindicated. We're the good guys. We're the guys that have, absolute proof that we're being persecuted. And that's bullshit. You look at the evidence. The evidence is right there. He had Venmo receipts. He did tweets. He was given away by his partner, his girlfriend, and the prostitute. It's all there. But no, they accused him falsely. Nothing ever happened. And this is where we're at. We're in a country where we basically either choose to be brainwashed by the left or brainwashed by the right. And I can't stand it anymore. I can't stand it anymore. I'm trying to live in a country where I can get along and be happy and free and bring up my family and do the things that I need to do, have a good, successful life. And I'm bombarded by this pre revolutionary hatred. I can see somewhere down the line the right wing media trying to convince us that we should shoot leftists in a ditch somewhere. And I can see the lefties thinking the same thing. I am I've been there. I've been in complete and utter hatred of Trump. I have been at the point where I'm ready to wall off Texas and Florida, build a 30-foot wall, electrify it, fill it with crocodiles and alligators and snakes, and then put all of the right-wing crazy people into those states and never let them out. And I swear to God, it's like it's poison. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it anymore. That's why I'm doing this channel. So follow me, subscribe, and we'll do more of these stories and dig into what's actually happening. Bottom line, they're letting him off the hook, and they let this leak right before the Georgia announcement of the judge letting out the report, and again, simply to bury it. So we need to stay on top of it. I'm going to try and make this channel into something where we can find a balance, and if we can, make some progression towards a world where we all can live together as Americans. I grew up in the 80s, and there was left and there was right, but it was a difference of opinion, and we were all still Americans. Today, none of us are Americans. We're just haters, and I'm done. Follow and subscribe.